triumph of the human spirit is the theme of the Paralympic Games, which provides competition for world-class disabled athletes. We'll find out more about the Games and the athletes. Let's take note with Larry Hughes, a Paralympic gold medalist who is a teacher, coach, and trainer. He is CEO and founder of Maryland Wheelchair Athletic Promotions, Inc. And Jeff Hance is a student in Penn State Schreier Honors College and a member of a number of Penn State bands. He's currently training to compete in next year's World Championships in Paris. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you.
The term Paralympics, we're not talking about Special Olympics here. What does the term Paralympics mean?
What that actually means is someone who has a disability, who has the capabilities to perform at the highest level of Olympic caliber events. The difference between Special Olympics and Paralympics, you're dealing with those with mental handicaps and disabilities. A para is someone who may be an amputee, someone who's diseased, or spinal cord injury, who has the ability to use their mental capabilities, and that's just about it.
And the Games, the interesting part about the Paralympics is they follow the Olympics.
Yes.
In terms of venue, and it sounds like in a lot of the same events.
Yes. What takes place is the transition of making the facility accessible, and then the Paralympics happen. Different from the Special Olympics, Paralympians have standards to meet in order to participate. That's not the same with Special Olympics at all. It's a total different game.
It's really, the Paralympics are as competitive as the Olympics.
Very, and I tell you something that's quite surprising. You may have an able-bodied runner who will get out there and run a mile, and they might get finished in 3:48 or 3:50. We're down now to doing the same mile, the same distance, and finishing in 3:05. Significant. When we do a marathon, your able-bodied, your best runners might run 2:08. We're finishing now in 1:26. It's time for us to go back to the hotel, take a shower, and watch the able-bodied runners come in.
Now, yes. What got you interested in Paralympics?
Well, I've always been competitive, all the way up to the point that I got hurt. And
you got hurt in Vietnam?
In Vietnam, correct. And I was athletic then. Friends of mine, which were very important, got me back on track. And first I started in road racing. Matter of fact, I've done the 367-mile marathon twice from Fairbanks, Alaska to Anchorage. And I was clocked on 54 miles an hour in my wheelchair. So you pick out an able-bodied runner that could keep up with me.
Not many, not many. Tell us a little bit, Jeff, about, I know you're in a wheelchair because you were born without thigh bones, but describe to us what your condition is and how you became involved in all of this as well.
My condition is called PFFD. I don't always remember what it stands for, but basically I'm a double above-knee amputee at this point. I was born with feet. I had them cut off so I could wear prosthesis. And as to how I got involved in this, I was in the Pride of the Lions basketball pep band last spring semester in January. And I guess it was a day that Larry was up here for a clinic for students, and I had heard nothing about the clinic personally. But I was coming home from the basketball game, which Larry, along with Terry, my coach, and Coco Abido, who was the only team member at the time, and they basically pulled their car over right in front of me.
You were tooling down the street in your wheelchair.
Yeah, I was going down the street
pretty
fast in my wheelchair, and I guess Terry said something to Larry, wow, he looks strong, should we ask him? And Larry said, yeah, go for it. So they pull over right in front of me, and then who knows what I was thinking. Car pulls over right in front of me. So she comes out, asked me if I'd like to do this. I emailed her that night and started from there.
You didn't waste any time. You knew he had the spirit for this.
A great addition to any program, really. It's the kind of people that you look for, the people who have goal-oriented, who have the ability, and the visionaries, in which he is, and he's going to pursue his goals, and I know he's going to be successful at it.
Now, we should talk about the fact that you're currently a Schreier Honors student at Penn State. You're carrying 20 or 21 credits. You're in a number of bands, including marching band, and you've taken on this as well. So aside from the fact how you have time for this, I'm wondering how you have achieved what you have, because I've read you just started training in January and you've already made enormous strides.
Well, right now I'm only in the basketball pep band. I've gotten out of that because basically this is a goal I'd like to pursue. I think I've gone as far in my music career as possible without being a music major. And right now I am concentrating on the Paralympics in 2004, the World Championships in 2002, and I just don't let anything get in the way. And I don't let anything get in the way of my classes either. And basically it's just working out. I'm not sure exactly how, but right now it is.
Now, your high school teacher, you wrestled in high school, and a high school teacher said that you never let your limitations limit you. I'm just wondering, you know, I'm just wondering where the motivation and the energy to try to achieve the things you're trying comes from.
Well, all throughout elementary school, junior high, high school, I was always one of the smarter kids in the classes, and everyone else who was in my classes was doing all kinds of things, all kinds of activities, sports, bands, whatever, and I wanted to be a part of all that too. So basically it was getting to do things with friends, and you know, I have to thank my parents in that regard. They never held me back from anything. And I mean, they were a little bit skittish about wrestling, of course, but you know, 6th grade I went out and joined it. The Greater Latrobe wrestling program was phenomenal, and they let me get in. I'm pretty sure I was their first disabled wrestler, and they really helped me. I mean, once I started wrestling, that was in 6th grade, and after that, I figured, why not? I wrestle.
That's right. Now, you won the gold medal for discus, and in fact, I want to show a video clip of some of your practice, I guess this is.
Okay.
And describe, if you would, for us, Larry, what this entails, being able to throw the discus in a wheelchair. Let's take a look.
Okay.
This is
That's
Jeff.
Same principle. You know, it takes work to do that, and you just don't go out there and do it. It takes repetition of practice. It takes a game plan. You have to work out in the gym. You have to build technique. You have to know about the various implements. And I've had the opportunity to be taught by the best, the makers of implements.
Now
And
here
through
you
that,
are, Larry.
Yes, looking very bullish, I
Yes,
might
very,
add.
very
you know?
strong.
And
How do your records compare with able-bodied athletes in terms of discus?
In terms of discus, actually, I'm probably maybe 25 meters behind an able-bodied thrower right now. Simply because an able-bodied thrower has the ability to use their legs, their total body to spin, so they get a 360-degree turn plus another 180-degree.
And in fact, you're trying to address that with this new chair, which is a prototype,
Yes.
something you're working with engineers at the Advanced Research Lab at Penn State on. Tell us about this chair.
Okay, the amazing thing about this, when we first started and I met them on this project, they had a big Cumberland type spinning circle that has a market for it, but kind of difficult in athletics. This has been cut down and to scale. So whereas one who would sit up here on the seat, and you'll see that the seat will revolve, will allow the body to turn here. And then as it comes around, we're getting a full extension of turning the body, which would be somewhat equivalent to an able-bodied person who has the ability to spin. Now, because we're anchored down in this chair, and the chair doesn't go anywhere, so it's all what one works on their body
You have
to
no
control.
momentum that the other athletes have.
Yes. So the strength and speed is very important to us, and then knowing about technique and style, as well as equipment. And you have to put all these things together in a formula to get the output that you're looking for, which will be equivalent to distance. I had the opportunity to work with a couple other doctors and researchers on the abilities of those with disabilities. And the thing about it, we don't put a limit on it at all, because the more that we get involved with it, the more success we have with it. Matter of fact, if you don't mind, I have a motto that I live by and I pass on everybody. And it goes like this: if better is possible, then good isn't enough. And I can prove that to you. This morning when you brushed your teeth, as so many of your viewers have, I would just like to ask you, is it at all possible that you could have brushed your teeth just a little bit better? Then if so, what I said is true. And with that, I will not allow anybody else to put limitations on myself or the barriers.
And so this is just a starting point.
Oh, yes.
This
yes,
is the starting
yes.
point. Let's talk a little about where you are in this, Jeff. Your goal is to compete in the Paralympics in 2004 in Salt Lake City, Utah. What events?
Discus, shot put, javelin. I'd like to compete in all three. Right now, I also do a little bit of road racing and a little bit of powerlifting, but those aren't the ones I'm concentrating on right now for the Paralympics.
You're concentrating on the ones where you feel like you're able in all of those events, but you have a special skill for some of these others.
Right. Maybe you cut it down to genetics. My father was a thrower in college, but maybe it's a little bit the coaching I've gotten here from Terry. My father's helped me, and Larry's been absolutely fantastic.
I appreciate that, G. This guy is an athlete. I meet a lot of people who aspire to be an athlete. He is an athlete. And the more he gets involved with it, the better he's going to be. He's getting better all the time.
How important has this athletic competition been in dispelling some of the myths that the general public has about what disabled athletes can and cannot do?
Wow, if it was wood, I would knock on it. It has been able to tear down a lot of barriers to allow people to really open up their eyes to see what happens. Number one, a disabled athlete sends a message out there to the disabled population in part. Because you have a disability, your life doesn't end. It also stands and sends a message out to the able-bodied population. If you become disabled, you have a life. And not only that, I'm pointing to the point that those with disabilities are role models. These are people who you might want to articulate and enjoy and to embrace, because they live with difficulties all the time, and yet they pursue happiness.
And I just realized that I misspoke. You're actually competing in 2002 in the World Championships in Paris. 2004, it's Athens, Greece.
Correct.
All right. Thank you both so much for being with us. Our guests have been Larry Hughes. He's the founder and CEO of Maryland Wheelchair Athletics Promotions, Inc., a nonprofit, and also Jeff Hance, who's a student at Penn State and a Paralympian athlete. For Take Notes, I'm Patty Satalia.
A copy of the program you've just seen can be purchased through Penn State Media Sales at mediasales.psu.edu or by calling 800-770-2111.